Hello, bad guy. You're through to the Wazim report. Okay, so
I
here to
like
talk
that.
about.
That's a good name.
Here's a good name. I thought I'd try it. So let's get straight to the topic. Edge kicked out of Judgment Day. We've been chatting about it on Twitter, but not really got our opinion. So, do you want
hmm
to start with first how your thoughts on him being kicked out of Judgment Day?
I thought, well, the Judgment Day have been together for what, like 4 or 5 months, right? They haven't been
Yeah.
together for super long. I get why they did it. Edge didn't agree with the way that the WWE had kind of planned the Judgment Day to go. The WWE wanted a supernatural kind of thing. Edge didn't agree with that. So bringing in Finn Balor, with his demon character, it does push forwards the supernatural elements. But I think the way they kicked Edge out, it didn't really make any sense. Like, Edge and the Judgment Day had just won at the pay-per-view. Sure, they could have held off for a little bit, let them lose a couple times, make it Edge's fault they lost, and then kick him out. Because then it would make sense. Like, oh, you're holding us down. I
Okay,
just
so obviously there's many ways Edge could have been kicked out. Do you think because of the way it was done, maybe it was a last minute decision?
yeah, I could see it being quite last minute. Obviously Vince doesn't really do long-term booking or long-term storylines. He prefers short-term, which it because this does feel very like very fast. It was the day after the pay-per-view.
Okay, would you not think it is short? It's short, but as I'm said in the spaces, Edge did his job. He
Yeah,
got two of the stars noticed potential. It put Finn Balor in a spotlight, and then the job is done. If a job is complete, is there to do?
not much, and I agree. He did do a very good job. Obviously, Rhea was very popular beforehand. Damian Priest not as much, but still he had his fans. I see a lot of people on Twitter and other places online praising the Judgment Day. They think it's quite good. And then there's also people who hate it, which is a perfect way to kind of build up a faction.
Okay, so obviously this podcast is going to be titled Edge. What's next? So he has been kicked out. The Judgment Day is going to probably move on to better things, as WWE always do.
hmm
What does Edge do now? There's lots of rumors circulating. Do you think it's all just rubbish, and he's going to remain? He's still going to remain with WWE?
I think he's going to stay on WWE. Obviously, he's because of the neck injuries and the spinal fusion that he underwent a couple of years, like 2010, I think. He's on a shorter schedule. The fact that he comes in and does pretty good wrestling for a guy who's that age. Obviously, it's not the Edge he used to be, but nobody would have expected him to be that. I think it's good that he has a shorter schedule, and he's already done quite a lot this year. Just let him stay off, come back for pay-per-views and like sort of like setting up feuds and stuff on Raw. He doesn't need to be on constantly. He's not a young talent. He could be used to not job but push up and coming talent like he did with
Okay,
Dudley.
so obviously, what do you want to see Edge do now? If you can make the call, what do you want to see him do? Like a rough idea. You said you want him to have some time off. Say if you were to bring him back to SummerSlam, that's the next big pay-per-view. Who do you see in wrestling? Finn Balor?
Yeah, I could see Finn Balor. I think that would be actually quite a good match. Or you could kind of go for like a nostalgia thing. Doesn't really make any sense because I haven't had any proper matches this year. But Edge versus Orton, two guys that have been in the business for super, super long. Orton's coming up on 20 years. Edge, if you take out the time he was off, just as long, basically. It would be quite nostalgic. A good matchup. They're both great performers. But I think that they were trying to go for him versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam, and I would watch it. I think that would be a pretty good match.
Okay, so obviously the Finn Balor's one option. Orton probably will happen at another stage, and John Cena's the other guy who I think he can work with. Either of these matches could also be done in November at
Yeah,
the
at Survivor Series.
Sorry, say that again.
I was just gonna say it's at Survivor Series and stuff.
Well, past Survivor Series, I'm thinking Crown Jewel.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
always forget I got with Conjure.
Crown Jewel usually has marquee matches, even though it never really has been. It's never really been like a WrestleMania, but it's supposed to be at that level.
Yeah. They usually bring out the nostalgia acts for that. I remember it's Kane, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H.
Yeah, they're usually
Yeah.
there. They all Goldberg mainly. Okay, let's just run it back a little bit. So Edge at SummerSlam takes on Finn Balor, potentially loses. Even if Finn Balor loses, do you think it matters?
Um, no, I mean if they do this right, if they build Judgment Day up right with Finn and Finn gets over like super over, then it matters. It'll probably be Finn will win at SummerSlam. But if they do this like wrong or they still do what they're doing and Finn doesn't get over, I could see them setting up the Edge is gonna win at SummerSlam. Kind of be pushing more as like a babyface, be like, oh, I've beaten the guy who took everything from me, that took the thing I loved and took my friends. Like so he thought Rhea and Damien would have been his friends, his compatriots and
Okay.
Finn's obviously the one who was doing the choking as well, which would really it's Finn's a heel. This would make it's like sympathize with Edge. A perfect way to build a face.
I mean, okay. So I mean, I think he's going to take on Finn Balor. Uh,
Yeah.
do Finn Balor gains the win, and then run it back at WrestleMania. Maybe it's a demon. Would that have any? Would that have any interest in you?
I quite like I prefer the demon over Finn Balor, just Finn Balor. I think the demon's quite cool. I would enjoy a more supernatural Judgment Day, kind of like a Ministry of Darkness kind of thing.
That is the way it was going, weren't it? It was going that way with Edge.
Yeah,
And okay,
but Edge
so
didn't want them to do that.
one option is that there is a tweet I made the other day. John Cena coming back with Edge not with Edge, but John Cena comes back. He lines himself with Edge to take on the Judgment Day. Do you think that could happen?
Uh, Yeah, honestly, I think having two older guys, obviously John Cena has I don't think he's ever been a heel, or at least it wasn't very long. If John came back, everyone's gonna go nuts because it's John Cena.
Yeah.
And then
So
you've got Edge too.
yeah, and if they're working together, considering their history, and they're going to
Yep,
work with the Judgment Day, I think everybody wins. Everybody in that feud will win, and I think it works, and it puts it on another level. Would you agree?
yeah. Plus, if Judgment Day were to beat John Cena and Edge, it would be quite like nuts because usually if John Cena's coming back, it's big match John, he's gonna win. If
Yeah,
the Judgment Day were to be like they would win over Cena, it would be like holy crap because they would rarely ever do that. John's like their golden boy.
John is their golden boy, and that's why I think if he's in that feud, it could potentially. At the moment, I think without Edge, it'd probably be a mid card faction, which it was anyway, even with Edge. But I
Yep.
think with the possible feud, it could possibly even be main events of Raw. I'm probably
I could
going to
see
a pay
that.
per view. Say that
I,
again.
I could see that. I also think that the AJ Styles and Liv Morgan, it kind of just feels like they've just been pushed together. Obviously, AJ was feuding with Edge, and Rhea had just broken up the tag team with Liv, but they don't really mesh together particularly well. I think to keep this going, have them not be together, do separate feuds, and then whenever it comes to a pay-per-view, build up so that three people team up again against the Judgment Day.
Yeah, again, that's possible. It could happen, but just running it back to Edge slightly. So if Edge does work with Cena, he takes on the Judgment Day. That could open up potential more matches. So if they were to do that match at SummerSlam, they could potentially do Finn Balor and Edge at WrestleMania. The problem I'm thinking is everybody thought Edge and AJ was going to be phenomenal, but it wasn't really that good. It was okay, it was average.
Yeah.
Do you think it's built up with Finn Balor that potentially it could be the same, just a basic average match?
I think if as long as they don't make it like the main event of night one or night two, put it in the middle because if it's in the middle and it's average, it's a good mid match. But if it's a subpar main event, it drags the rest of the night. Like, it drags the night two or night one, like the entire thing down. But
Okay, so you. Sorry, go on.
oh no, I was just gonna say, Finn Balor has a lot of he's quite good. AJ Styles is obviously still great, or as he would say, phenomenal. I can't say that word.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
But like, I don't think that them together. I don't think it would work as well.
Okay, so so do you want to see Edge though? You obviously mentioned keep him as a part-time guy. Now these feuds that we're mentioning, do you want to see any of them, or do you not want to see them?
I think that John Cena and Edge versus the Judgment Day, so probably just Finn and Damien. I can't imagine them bringing in a female wrestler to fight with Rhea as well. So that would just be Hell in a Cell like over again.
'Cause
I think that Edge and Cena versus Judgment Day could be very, very good.
the thing is, what people are missing the point is, someone else could always join Judgment Day and continue that feud. But okay, so we got that feud. So, we seem to think he's going to work with Judgment Day. It's going to go on. The way Edge worked in the past, he would always have the last laugh. Do you
Yeah,
think it's going to be the same scenario here? In the end, he's going to be laughing, or do you think it's going to be a change where he's not going to be laughing so much?
I think that Edge is getting up there. I think he could be retiring soon, like a proper retirement. I think a good way to kind of close out Edge's last big storyline or last big feud would be for him to have something drastic happen. Because obviously, in the past, he's always the one that comes out on top. Have it so that the younger guys come out on top and Edge is left.
Okay, so we're sort of the same thinking. We're on the same page on where we think it's going to go. So with the other rumors going around circulating is Edge is done. Edge is no longer with WWE. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's true?
No, I don't see. Obviously, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Edge should go to, or Edge could go to AEW." I just don't see it happening.
Okay, well, why does it have to be AEW? I mean, there's a lot of companies out there, but I think AEW would be quick to pick him up. Let's say if he was in AEW, what do you think? Do you think he'd be lost in the shuffle? Do you think he'd be at the level he was in WWE? What do you think?
I think, unfortunately, I'd love Edge, but I think it would be another Hardy's situation where they go in, they get hyped up, they have a couple good matches, and it just like over time, it just gets worse and worse and worse until the point where people are kind of just worried about them, not like anticipating their matches. Just it's worrying. I
Yes,
just I can't see Edge really. I think he would be kind of put into the same position Christian's been put in.
okay, yeah, that's what I reckon. Similar position to Christian, than potentially just managing someone, but Christian's really doing nothing right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so what my fear is, if they were to have Edge and Christian reunite, they would have them work with the Hardys and they potentially try to get a ladder match involved, and they would try to do it where Edge. Actually, AEW's got less restrictions. They will probably let Edge go out there and
Mhm.
do what he needs to do. We see that on their TV. People get injured all the time. There'll be some restrictions there, but they're a bit looser. And I think they'll try to run back that ladder match. You know, Edge and Christian one more time versus the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a problem if they even consider doing that. Okay. He's in
Catastrophe.
AEW. So say it again.
Like that match, Edge Christian Hardy's ladder match at this age would end in someone like fucking breaking an arm,
Okay, so say breaking your arm. I think it might be a bit worse than that.
maybe a neck or two.
Okay. Okay, let's say they have that. Say if Edge did come to AEW, do you think they would announce that?
I think they would, and then basically everyone in a right state of mind would go, "No, do not do that. That is ridiculous."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I think, how do you think the AEW diehard audience would cater to that?
Oh, obviously they're like diehard AEW fans. Like if Tony Khan came out and shat on the ring, they would go and lick it.
Yeah, yeah. I think they would, right? The thing is,
Yeah.
I think they they're diehard, and if Edge was to get in that ring, they would probably want to see it.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, after Edge has done what he did, I remember the Hardy Boys, everyone saying, yes, one more time. And when they finally got together, it was awful. And
Mhm.
I don't want to see the same with Edge and Christian. Now, before Edge came to WWE, you may not know this one. You may know this, you may not. He was offered a deal by AEW, but
Yeah,
Edge thought
he used it as leverage.
he used it as leverage, and he went to Vince, and Vince gave him an offer. We don't know what the offer was, but Vince has obviously rebuilt Edge. Now, do you think AEW may have the potential to destroy Edge, even if they don't want to? It may go that way.
I think so. A lot of people thought whenever CM Punk got signed to AEW, people thought, oh yes, we're gonna get the CM Punk of 2012 to 14 back. It's gonna be like prime CM Punk, and we have PG Punk. You know, the guy who comes out and wears political t-shirts on a wrestling program.
Yeah, exactly. It does, and maybe we'll do that on a podcast one day. Okay, so let's move it back then. Save Edge goes to AEW. Do you think the Edge fans he has in WWE, do you think they're going to follow him over? Or are they going to do similar to what they did with Punk, watch him for a bit and then just go straight back to WWE?
I imagine they'll probably do the thing. They'll tune in for the first couple matches. That obviously a lot of people will probably watch the first Dynamite he's on. Maybe a little bit peak of interest whenever the first pay-per-view he's on rolls around. And then if they like what they see from Edge, they'll stick around. But if they don't, or they think, well, this is not the same guy that was on WWE less than 3 months ago, they'll probably just go back to WWE, keep up with Edge once in every while. But overall, I don't think many people would jump ship.
Okay, let's say obviously AEW is the second biggest promotion. Now there is Impact Wrestling. You ever watch that?
No, I have not. I have a box set of TNA matches, I think.
Yeah, so it used to be called TNA, now it's Impact, right?
Yeah, I
And
have
now,
the phenomenal AJ Styles box set.
yeah. So the TNA is out of it now. It's just Impact Wrestling, right?
Yep.
Under different management. Now, if Edge was to go there, now considering you never watched it, would you watch if Edge went there, or were you only watching AEW because it's the big promotion? Now, Impact does have a TV deal. It's a very small promotion compared to AEW and WWE. Would you watch it if Edge went there? The reason I'm mentioning this is because I want to see if you would tune into a small promotion if he went there.
Um, Honestly, no, especially if it's on a smaller network, because at least with the WWE in the UK, I think to watch Raw and SmackDown live, it's on BT Sport. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, BT
I'm
Sport.
not
Yeah,
double
it
check.
is. It is BT Sport.
And then AEW is on Fight and something else. What's the thing it's on?
Yeah, it's on Fight TV AEW in the UK, and
Yeah.
it's on ITV Hub as well.
So yeah, so they're on accessible networks. If Impact's on something that I have to pay separate for, I'm okay. Like if it doesn't come in a bundle that I have or comes with other channels that I would be interested in, I can't see myself buying a channel set to watch one thing at two
Yeah,
o'clock in the morning.
so yeah, you would have to buy a YouTube subscription to even watch it. The latest stuff anyway. You have to buy it through YouTube. That's just the way it is. Okay, so you wouldn't watch Edge if he went there.
No.
Okay, so what do you think Edge's best step is? To stay with WWE or to try with AEW or go maybe to Impact?
I think the best thing overall for Edge is ride it out on WWE, then get that Legends contract. He could
Yeah,
come back. Come back and manage someone. Like he doesn't need to leave the WWE entirely. I think it's just slow down for a bit, man. Like you don't need to be constantly on TV. It's gonna take tolls on you mentally, physically, more than it already has.
Yeah, I mean, I would be sad to watch Edge leave. Now, I was watching a Edge match the other day. It was from No Mercy. It's the ladder match with the Hardys, the original first ever tag team ladder match in WWE, right?
Yep.
I thought I thought I'd watch it, give it a shot, see what it's all about. And it was sad because Edge was so healthy then. To seeing now he's much better, like in the ring, but he's not healthy. I mean, he's healthy enough to wrestle, but
Yeah,
when he goes off the TV and goes home, he's probably banged up, right? Now,
yeah.
just to see how far he's come is good, but and then again, maybe it's not so good. So the other thing I wanted to mention about Edge is obviously Legends contract you mentioned, right?
Yep.
Now that would be perfect for him, and he could still make the odd appearances. Now, this is another thing. WWE obviously doesn't get credit. Normally, it's always the performer. Now, obviously, it's a WWE machine that's helping Edge become big, right?
Yeah.
So without that machine, do you think maybe the name alone will not be enough to keep him relevant?
Obviously, most wrestling fans, especially if they're from the 2000s, grew up around that era, will know Edge by name. But I
Mm.
just can't see putting Edge on posters for AEW. I just can't see it bringing in people like a mass audience because he's not a John Cena. If you see John Cena's name, even if you don't follow wrestling, you know who John Cena is, you know who The Rock is, you know who Hulk Hogan is. If I was to show my mum a promotion that says, "Oh, by the way, Edge is coming to this. You should watch it." My mum doesn't know who Edge is. She knows who John Cena is. She doesn't know who Edge is.
That's interesting. So you're saying the casual fan?
No, not just the person who will tune in and watch a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, because they'll probably know Edge. They'll know a decent enough amount about wrestling. If someone who's just getting in, probably not. Someone who's quite young, probably not.
And that's interesting. Okay, so speaking of Edge, how true do you think these rumors are that he's? Do you think it's just all rubbish, or do you actually think it is true? Because it's never been said before. He's done. What do you think?
I think well, in wrestling, no one's ever really done, right? People come back. Um, I just don't see Edge right now, like as in this exact moment, Thursday, the 9th of June, 2022. I don't think he's just going to up and announce his retirement. I think he'll probably do it next couple of years, maybe 2, 3 years. I just can't see him going right now.
Okay, so obviously we've discussed the number of promotions he could go to. We've discussed if he stays with WWE. The reason I didn't talk too much about his back career past because I want to just talk about now. Okay, last thing Edge could do is run the independent circuit. Now, do you know what the independent circuit is?
Yeah,
Okay, so do you think if he runs the independent circuit, he can choose his own schedule? He doesn't necessarily have to wrestle. He can just make appearances. Do you think? I mean, that you're going way down. Then I mean, that's where you start.
yeah.
Could you see him doing that? Now, keep in mind, there are wrestlers even today that go back down to the indies, and they rebuild. Edge is at a stage where he doesn't need to rebuild. But could you see him working indie events?
I could see, I know Jerry the King Lawler's contract says that he can go and work with other promotions as long as he shows up every once in a while for like to record Raw and all. I could see if he really wants to work independence, I don't think he would be a wrestler. I think he would go and promote events or do commentary. Just be like something you can bring in and it could be like a wow factor. It's like, hey guys, come look at us. We've got Edge.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Edge, and it would still sell, I think, just by the
Yeah.
name.
Because most
Okay.
people who would watch Independence would probably already know who Edge is. I can't see very many people like starting off with Independence. It's quite a more you need to kind of know about wrestling to even get into Independence, especially because they're small. It's the whole
Okay,
point
so
of being independent.
you're right. You're right in everything you say. So years ago, Scott Hall ended up back on the Independents when he was a megastar. Um, so it wouldn't be. I mean, Scott Hall ended up down there because of his downfalls, but it's
Yeah,
not. It's new for a big wrestler, obviously, to be on the Independents. There's been a ton of them. Uh, do you think Edge sells any more tickets for the Independents, or do you think it's going to be the same crowd you normally get?
I think you could probably get more people in because especially if it's not like a super if he's working in front of 100 people, you'll obviously see an increase. But if it's like a couple like less than 1,000, more than 500, yeah, you could probably get more people in by just saying, "Hey, look, Edge is coming." Doesn't even have to be wrestling. Just being able to be in the presence of Edge is going to get some people to go.
Okay, so overall, if you could pick just as for selfish reasons, where do you want to see Edge?
Uh, I just hope he stays in WWE. I think there's like some sort of magic around Edge, and that whatever he touches usually turns to gold. I just think if he goes to AEW, his Midas touch is gonna like go. I just can't see it working. If he does independence, I think people will be more like a. Do you know the way people are kind of treating Ric Flair right now because of his last match and massive air quotes? Um, it's like if he was to wrestle on independence, it would be such a huge fall from grace. And I'm not shitting on independent circuits. I'm just saying for a guy who's former like WWE, he's still massive in the WWE. He's not obviously like a Roman Reigns. He's still huge. If he was
Okay.
to just go to independence, it would be kind of like a what happened?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. I'd be disappointed if he went to Independence. I'd be heavily shocked. Um, it's good now. Obviously, we're not doing this in the Twitter space, so we're getting a more one-to-one, and we're probably getting a lot more discussed than we usually would get discussed, right?
Yeah, especially
Okay.
because you don't have people constantly putting their hands up or anything.
Yeah, so I think I mean this may be a bit better now that I've got to talk to you one-to-one because this is just what we do anyway. But okay, last thing of Edge. One more match Edge has. Who should it be with, and where should it be? Make the call.
Oh, last match, I
Any
think.
promotion, any wrestler. Where do you think he should have that final match? Because he's coming close.
Yeah, I honestly WrestleMania 40 versus John Cena. I think it would be perfect.
Ah, you took my pick. You took my pick. So I'm thinking John Cena as well, and it has to be at WrestleMania. But I
Oh
remember
yeah,
the
for
same
sure.
people were thinking, oh, Kurt Angle's gonna have his final match with John Cena, and then it never happened. Um, I hope that happens. I hope Edge versus John Cena does happen one more time, and I hope it is at WrestleMania. Do you think it can live up to the hype?
I think as long as he's, in right shape, as long as he's feeling good going into it, he's not torn up from being on shows. I think it could definitely be one last hurrah for Edge. Even John Cena, if John Cena was to retire after that match, as long as it's good, I'm fine with that.
Do you think it could be good? I mean, I'll give you my view first. I think it's going to be better than all the matches they've had. Now, this is the reason why. Obviously, wrestling wise, it's not going to be better. But the
Yeah,
storytelling, the connecting with the crowd, the way they're going to do everything is going to be different. It's going to be more story focused. And I think that alone is going to go 10 times over the matches they've had.
100% agree. I think they're right. This is kind of off topic, but still in the same way. WrestleMania 25, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. The match itself is a great match, but the storytelling is what makes it top notch. If they were to do a retirement match between John Cena and Edge, have Edge lose, first of all, I would be sad because I don't want to see Edge go, but obviously I know it's gotta happen. I think
Yeah,
just
definitely.
having it be on, I think his first main event was like WrestleMania 24, just rough guess. If he was to like retire after his 16th like appearance at a WrestleMania, it would just be like special.
Yeah, agreed. I totally agree with what you're saying. And you're right. So I'm going to run this down now. So obviously we have discussed everything about Edge. Is there anything else you want to go over about Edge before we wrap this up?
I was just gonna say, I think honestly, Edge is in my top 20 of all time. It's just such a phenomenal wrestler.
Top 20. I'd put him in the top 10. He's one of the best that ever came.
Mhm.
remember I saw his first match. I'm old enough to remember. I mean, in the WWE, I saw his first match, and I never saw. You know, when I first saw him, I never thought he would become the biggest star, one of the biggest stars of all time. Never guessed, but he did, and it's good for him, Christian, as well. Yep. So
Mhm.
I'm going to wrap this up. Then I'm just I'll wrap this up, and thank you for being on the first edition of the Wazen Report. All right.
No problem.